Hello. Welcome to the Realm of Ideas is Free to All. This is episode 53, Quantitative Imagination. Basically, we've made it one full circle from last year. This is the start of our second year on the Realm of Ideas is Free to All. I am Bruce Gemmell. I do these ruminations with my longtime partner and wife and lover and muse, Julie Rauer. And we kind of like are now heading into year number two, and this is kind of continuing the ruminations of what the kind of like, this is not a philosophy. I'm an architect, but don't call me that. In fact, somebody insulted me recently and kind of said, like, you're an architect, aren't you? And I said, I took great offense at that. So yes, technically I'm an architect, but I feel as if that's becoming a better term than it used to be. 10 years ago, I would have denied it and said I was an accountant or garbage man. But now at least I will grudgingly admit, yes, I am an architect. It's become harder. It's become easier to do that. All right. So anyway, so the reality is that here we are in the second year. And we're going to start off with a piece that I was reading the other day to give us an idea of where this comes from. And it's, again, I've been fascinated. Julie got me a book that I needed for so long and never could put my hands on. And I got a hands on it. It's like, showed this a lot. Science in the Modern World by Whitehead. It was part of that 3 books that he wrote. And the Adventures of Ideas, Science in the Modern World, and Process and Reality. Process and Reality being his like magnus opus. And honestly, I've kind of read portions of Process and Reality. I find it like it's just one of the most inconceivably brilliant works just in the few pieces that I've read, but it's definitely not something you can go at it alone. I've benefited from the anecdotes that I've been able to pick out from it, but I mean, it's definitely a difficult text. And I think part of it is because, he has developed a language that is very specific to his process and to his thinking, which you really need to understand and appreciate to really kind of get to the depths. But I think the simplest and easiest thing to do is that, Whitehead came from logic and math and kind of like came to philosophy, but was able to revolutionize philosophy in a very significant way, being able to kind of understand that the static nature that had existed since Parmenides, was able to be kind of like appreciated as something that no longer had to kind of have the same stumbling block. And he was able to kind of make a situation metaphysically that was about becoming rather than being. Again, this is something you talk about for hours, days, weeks. But I think that Whitehead is a figure, to me, like Leonardo, who really was not capable of being appreciated and understood. He's certainly not understood now in the significance of what he was capable of doing, being able to understand the breadth of math, science, and history and philosophy. He truly was an individual beyond the scope of any particular realm. And I think as a result, it's been hard for people to kind of pick up, not only not follow in his footsteps, be able to even kind of pick up and understand the significance of what he's actually allowed us to kind of go with. Anyway, as an architect, I can't say I'm a process architect, because I think that would be incredibly ambitious, and I would have to give myself a tremendous amount of, I would see that incredibly arrogant. And as graciously arrogant as I am, I'm not going to claim that. I think it's too ambitious, and it's certainly something that I would not kind of say about myself. I would love to have that, but I would say organic architect and organic architecture is certainly something that kind of is appreciated by the process reality, and that's certainly the case. So we will start with following up from what we were talking about the other day, in that, let's see, Whitehead was saying, In the particular instance of the quotation, which, and I talked about this a couple of weeks ago, we read a quotation by Bacon when he talked about the century of genius in the 17th century. And then he made an incredibly interesting comparison. Perhaps the man who most completely anticipated both Bacon and the whole modern point of view was the artist Leonardo da Vinci, my particular hero and somebody who I've admired since I was a boy, who lived almost exactly a century before Bacon. Leonardo was illustrated the theory which I was advancing in my last lecture, that the rise of naturalistic art was an important ingredient in the formulation of our scientific mentality. Now, again, he's talking about the revolution where, as a result of this, people came to understand and appreciate not just the value of experimentation, but of the value of the inductive method. Now, that's kind of one of the things that I would say is a quantitative imagination, or as I've said before, a kind of unbreakable bond in the fact that the inductive method, and prior to the metaphysical underpinning, to have a scientific underpinning, this was a major advancement. So go through this again. From the 16th to the 17th century, as a result of the kind of understanding the nature of Leonardo in terms of his observations, we uncouple the unbreakable bond of rationalism, right, and metaphysics, and we take that rationalism and we now couple it with experimentation and oversee that with the inductive method. So now we see the possibility for kind of like understanding the value of speculation. And that was the piece that this is about. Okay. Leonardo also illustrated a theory which I was advancing in my last lecture. I was advancing in my last lecture, that was the rise of naturalistic art was an important ingredient in the formulation of our scientific mentality. Indeed, Leonardo was more completely a man of science than was Bacon. The practice of naturalistic art is more akin to the practice of physics, chemistry, and biology than is the practice of law. We all remember the saying of Bacon's contemporary Harvey, the discoverer of the circulation of blood, that Bacon wrote of science like a Lord Chancellor. But at the beginning of the modern period, Da Vinci and Bacon stood together as illustrating the various strains which have combined to form the modern world, namely legal mentality, and the patient observational habits of the naturalistic artist. Now, what he's leading to here is the fact that the inductive method is not simply something that is kind of left to just kind of be spit out in a kind of algorithmic way. It is an intuitive, imaginative, creative endeavor, that the way in which one formulates, because the subtitle of this is, whose responsibility is it to analyze the apparatus of formulations? It's ours. It is the speculative nature. It is the responsibility of the speculist, as which the term that Julie coined, or the speculative imagination, to be responsible for the analysis of the apparatus of formulations. And in order to do so, I feel as if this key understanding of the nature of the inductive method, and I was speaking about this with someone this week, is that people see, well, the inductive method gives rise to speculation as a result of taking things that we understand and making formulations. And people who are very black and white, right, have this idea of saying, oh, but it's not perfect because it doesn't lead to facts, or it doesn't prove facts. No, but what it does do is kind of lead to possibilities to deepen our understanding of facts. Because what I think a lot of people misunderstand is facts are not static. They're always being unsettled and replaced with others. So the idea is people want to find comfort in facts and in data.
Do you know how I think of facts?
How?
Facts are temporal belief structures.
They are. They really are. And I mean, like, the thing is, one can have data, but the data can be misleading, because a lot of times speculations that come later will basically say, okay, under these conditions, these facts were the case. We now understand that speculation, which began with that experimentation, was incorrect or was flawed. And as a result, these facts have to be conditioned. Facts are always conditioned. They're conditioned by the circumstance. So the
Uh-huh.
speculation can basically give rise to new understandings. So it changes the perspective.
And they're superseded over time.
Exactly. So intact, the idea is the quantitative imagination is a cumulative imagination of building pieces on top of other pieces. And accumulation in itself is, I would say, a very good expression of the metaphysical kind of consequence of the metaphor. So the metaphorical operation is very much involved in the quantitative imagination. You know, in a way, we're almost kind of saying the same thing as unbreakable bonds. But this is something I think can be specific to not the social reality, but the kind of specific artistic creation. Okay. So with that said, and a very long introduction, because I think this is somewhat a complex idea, we will come to the best part of the program, my favorite anyway, this week in Julie. So what's new in Julie?
Turns out quite a lot.
Ooh. Wow.
So in my research on the pigment orpiment, that's ORPIMENT, which is a topic of absolute fascination. And for those of you who know, this is our drink of choice, Tea's Tea.
Rose,
our future sponsor.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Actually, I like mint too in the summer, but it's so hard to get. Actually, if anybody knows where they can get, you know, the Tea's Tea mint on a regular basis, mint green is really great. It's very refreshing. It's definitely my favorite summer drink. But however, my favorite all time of all their flavors, I love jasmine, but rose is my favorite. And you tell us about what you discovered about roses.
Yes. Well, actually, plant science being one of my areas of independent research, that actually rose petals in the form of a steeped brewed beverage. Rose petals when eaten, although most people don't make a dish of linguine with rose petals, which would actually be kind of great. You know, or rose petal enchiladas, which would also be kind of great.
How would rose petals be with olive oil?
Marvelous.
Yeah, it would be marvelous, wouldn't it?
And I think it would probably extend their volatile oils, because you would be basically making a solution whereby it would probably leach out some of the volatile compounds, and then you'd have a highly nutritious
And could you actually then do a reduction?
You can always do a reduction.
Yes, I love that. You can always do a reduction.
Yes.
No, but once you actually, would that help extract the minerals?
Well,
what's this?
What is that? That's a strange thing. Okay, have you ever seen it before?
I don't know what that was.
Okay, just
we stink to still be here.
Hopefully, yeah. It was really very odd.
Okay, what do you want to do? Do you want to stop and start again? Because I don't like that.
Oh, okay.
I don't want to do the whole program.
Start and stop again.
All right, we're going to stop now, and we're going to start again. We just had a strange technical screen that I did not understand. But the last thing I want to do is have to do this twice.
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to stop now and restart.
And we will restart.
Bye.
Okay. I would check all your settings, because they're going to go back